Moments ago, the president tweeted this out regarding Mitt Romney. He wrote, "Here we go with Mitt Romney, but so fast." Question is, will he be a flake? I hope not. Would much prefer that Mitt focus on border security, so many other things where he can be helpful. I won big and he didn't. He should be happy for all Republicans and be a team player and win. What he's talking about is there was an op-ed in the Washington Post where Mitt Romney said Donald Trump was not his choice for president, hoped he'd change if he got the nomination. He did not, and that he has not risen to the occasion of being president. What say you about what's going on between these top Republicans?
Well, I mean, first of all, Mitt Romney's a freshman senator, so I'm not sure he's only a top Republican because he was once the nominee and lost. I think 80 or 85% of the party supports Trump. I think I'm not sure what Mitt Romney's trying to accomplish. It's kind of sad, you know, as a freshman, he could have come in, he could have written, as a former governor of Massachusetts, his views on Elizabeth Warren running for office. He could have written about the shutdown and offered an idea such as combining help for the Dreamers with building the wall and securing the border. He could have written about things he knows a great deal about. Why he would pick his very first venture to be an attack on the Republican president, you'd have to ask Romney. I can't figure out what he thought strategically, why he thought that was helpful to him. It makes him, as the president pointed out, it makes him look like he wants to rush into being in the minority of the Republican Party.
Well, what's really happening between those two? Because you have a lot of friends in Washington. You probably hear things that we don't all necessarily hear. What's happening? Why are they acting? They're eating dinner together.
Well, I mean,
they're shaking hands. And then
first of all, look, first of all, I competed with Mitt and lost in 2012. I give him a lot of credit. He was a very, very competitive guy. I think Romney has always wanted to be president. I think he'd like to be president now. And stylistically, they're so different that I suspect every morning when Romney gets up, he gets angry just because Trump is so different than he is. But from Romney's own standpoint, I don't understand strategically why you would try to carve out being the anti-Trump before you're even sworn in as a freshman. And I think it's important for Romney, and he'll learn this in the Senate. The Senate doesn't care who you used to be. The senators aren't going to go, oh, yeah, we owe you a lot of extra room because you were once the Republican nominee. He's a freshman senator. He needs to learn how the Senate works. And ideally, because he's a very smart guy, he's going to focus on actually solving problems, not just getting involved in a game with Trump, because he'll just plain lose. I mean, you can't take Trump on inside his own party.
Right.
It's not possible.
So, Newt, another area your expertise at is somehow healing ideological rifts. You got to somehow come to a deal here. This is a very unique impasse where Republicans were ready to sign something. The president pushed back on it. They reconfigured, rejiggered, and now the Democrats say they have two ideas. The Republicans have a different idea. How does this day 12 of this shutdown showdown end?
Well, look, my advice to Republicans is really simple. Buy ads in every single Spanish language media in the country pointing out that the president and the Republicans are trying to get a deal that includes legality for the Dreamers, and that the Democrats care more about hating Trump than they care about helping 700,000 young people who deserve a chance, who came here as very, very young children. The country overwhelmingly wants to help them. And I think that it would be very hard for even Nancy Pelosi to stand up for very long if the Republicans would be aggressive in pushing this issue. It's a very sound compromise to say, give us security on the southern border, take care of legalizing the Dreamers. It's a win-win proposition. I know Lindsey Graham has been working very hard on it, and I think that somewhere around there you can get to a deal. But if Pelosi wants to prove how tough she is by keeping the government closed for 6 or 8 or 10 weeks, she has the power to do that. And I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not they really live that up. The Democrats are not naturally the party of closing the government because they're naturally the party of government unions.
Right.
And so I think they're very cross-pressured.
Well, we have heard that apparently the president's invitation to the leaders, the meeting will take place in the White House, in the Situation Room, and it sounds as if everybody who goes in has got to surrender their cell phone because that's the Situation Room. And will anything happen? Will the Democrats even show up? We'll know tomorrow. Newt, thank you very much for joining us live today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Incoming Senator Mitt Romney hasn't even taken office yet, but last night around 8 o'clock took shots at the president in a Washington Post op-ed. Writes this. Here's his conduct over the past 2 years, particularly his actions this month, is evidence that the president has not risen to the mantle of the office. Trump's words and actions have caused dismay around the world. Here to react, former Trump deputy campaign manager and co-author of Trump's Enemies, still doing very well out there, David Bossie. David, makes sense of this.
Good morning.
Mitt Romney taking shots at the president is not new, but of late it has been. In 2018, he thanked the president for his endorsement. That's January. In December, I guess in January 1, he takes a shot. Why?
Well, this is a pathetic attempt by Mitt Romney for relevancy. This is a guy who comes to Washington, and instead of trying to help this president, instead of trying to help the Republican Party, he wants to attack this president and really try to undo and be the center of attention. Look, he wants to talk about character. Let's talk about jealousy. Let's talk about how shallow this person is. I'm sick and tired of Mitt Romney wanting Donald Trump's help on one hand, groveling, trying to be the Secretary of State during the transition in 2016. Let's not forget that pathetic attempt by Mitt Romney. I'm sick and tired of people coming to Washington. Instead of trying to be part of the solution, they're part of the problem. And that's what Donald Trump got elected to be, a change agent. And he has been successful in changing this broken status quo. And guys like Mitt Romney and outgoing his former partner, Paul Ryan, didn't agree with this president. And if you look at the successes this president has had over the last 2 years, it's insurmountable. If you look at past presidents, and I got to just say, I'm so disappointed in Mitt Romney. I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed.
Well, here it is. You say, too, that Jeff Flake and John McCain, they ended up being Republican enemies of the president. But you say Mitt Romney could be a much greater enemy than both them. Why?
Well, look, this is a guy who's used to the national stage. He has run for president, and if he wasn't so incompetent, he would have won that campaign, to be candid, beating Barack Obama in 2012. He should have. Mitt Romney failed in that campaign, and he failed the American people who made him the nominee. He ran a terrible general election campaign. But let me just say this, because he has his own political machine, his own media operation, and he's used to the national stage, he comes to Washington as somebody who looks like, to me, the Flake, McCain, Corker, all in one guy. And he's going to be the guy who's standing in the breach. And I got to tell you, I want Mitt Romney to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
All right, David Bossie, thanks so much. He does have a lot of skills. International business could be a very big asset on trade. We'll see what it means, knowing that
unfortunately, he's an open border guy.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Right. David Bossie, thanks so much.
Senator-elect Mitt Romney has not been sworn in yet, but he's already attacking the president. The Utah Republican writing a critical op-ed in the Washington Post. In it, he writes, quote, "The president has not risen to the mantle of the office." In response, the president has tweeted, "Here we go with Mitt Romney, but so fast, not so fast, question will be, is he a flake? I hope not. Would much prefer that Mitt focus on border security and so many other things where he can be helpful. I won big and he did not. He should be happy for all Republicans. Be a team player and win." Let's bring in the senator-elect from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Thank you for joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you.
You too.
Goodness, is this a sign of what's to come in the new year, in the new Congress?
Sandra, let me tell you something. There is an acronym for the word team, and it's something my mom used with me when we were growing up. Together, everyone achieves more. And what Tennesseans are looking at is a president who has delivered on turning the economy around, promise kept. He has delivered on moving the embassy from Jerusalem to Jerusalem. And he has delivered when it comes to working, defeating ISIS, dealing with China, dealing with trade, getting us back on the road to economic prosperity. And Tennesseans want to see more of that action. And I'll tell you something else they want to see is that border secured.
Clearly, you're seeing the president's team is not impressed by what they have seen here. And Brad Parscale, the president's campaign manager, fired back before we even saw a response from the president. And he wrote, quote, "The truth is Mitt Romney lacked the ability to save this nation. Donald Trump has saved it. Jealousy is a drink best served warm, and Romney just proved it. So sad. I wish everyone had the courage that real Donald Trump had." This was in response to the piece that Mitt Romney penned. In it, he writes this: "With the nation so divided, resentful, and angry, presidential leadership in qualities of character is indispensable, and it is in this province where the incumbent's shortfall has been most glaring." To that, you say what?
I say, as an elected official and as someone Tennesseans has sent to Washington, D.C. to represent them, they are saying, look, Marcia, do everything that you possibly can do to help keep this nation free and to keep it prosperous. And that is what they want to see me focus on, and that is what I am going to be focusing on. We need to make certain that everything we do, I call it the Big Five, Sandra: faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity. And every day my focus is on how do you defend and protect faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity, and how do I help this president, this administration, and my colleagues do the best to make certain we hand freedom on free, prosperous, and vital to the next generation.
Based on that, what do you hope to see happen at this meeting at the White House this afternoon? Here we are, day 12 of this government shutdown. What happens?
I have to tell you, when it comes to the government shutdown, what you will hear people say is the president has made an offer, and it is up to the Democrat leadership to come to the table and exercise something on that offer. I was in the produce aisle at the grocery store, and a constituent, this guy came past me. He said, Marcia, I'm a veteran. I am an independent voter. Build the wall. Our citizenship is not for the taking. It is for the earning. And there are so many Tennesseans, Sandra, that feel that same way, that this is precious, and they want to make certain that our sovereignty is preserved, that our country is secure, that we're dealing with the drug traffickers and the sex traffickers and the gangs that are trying to come across that border, and they're saying, secure it. I had somebody else yesterday at the airport when I was coming to D.C., and they said, what is all this about non-essential employees? Why do we have them if they're not essential? Let's secure our government. Let's secure our border. Let's get this job done. I think they support the president.
What do you want to see the president do today? It looked like there was room for negotiation on his part. There was a very firm statement put out by Sarah Sanders on where the president and his administration stand here. So what do you want to see happen in that room? It's expected that there will be 8 members of both parties, leaders from the House and the Senate, that gather at the White House today to meet with the president. What do you want to see the president do? Final thought.
You know, going into this, realize the Democrats have all voted for border security and a border wall in the past. They're not doing it now because they do not want to give President Trump a win. It is time to stop that. The American people want to see our nation and our border secured. And what I hope they go into that meeting room with is open minds and a willingness to do what is going to be best for the American people.
Well, the country will certainly be watching. It's all expected to happen this afternoon as everyone starts to return to Washington. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.